Alright boys, here we go. This is the Akkhan set build, or the Condemned build that I've been working on, and I'm just going to show you guys a quick example on how it works. Basically just condemning shit, as you can see, and shit just dies. I'm going to show y'all how to use this build real soon. We're going to go to town. It's really awesome for speed farming, as you can see, as you can imagine. Shit just dies, you just condemn shit and it dies. Big packs is just like nothing. Condemn, condemn, condemn. It's just like a one button, I win button kind of thing going on. You guys get the picture anyway. Let's go to town. So what we were doing there, boys and girls, was casting Condemned, and enemies were just blowing up in our faces, and basically that's all you do. Everything else is quite defensive, and obviously we have to keep Akkhan's champion up pretty much 100% of the time. If you have a second or two in between casting Akkhan's champion, that's fine. You should be able to stay alive. It shouldn't really affect you that much, but obviously we're aiming for 100% uptime for Akkhan's champion, and we're going to go through skills first for this Akkhan set build, or we can call it a Condemned build. We're using Iron Skin with Flash, Condemned obviously with Unleash. We're using Steed Charge with Endurance, Provoke, Too Scared to Run, Lords of Valor, Critical, Akkhan's Champion, Rally. Now the reason we're using Rally, some of you are thinking, oh, you should use Prophet or Embodiment of Power. It's because in Canonized Cube we have a weapon which actually activates Prophet and Embodiment of Power when Akkhan's Champion is active, so that gives us freedom to choose one of these other runes, and I've gone for Rally, which is pretty good. We need cooldown reduction. Obviously keeping Akkhan's Champion up, trying to keep it up 100% of the time, you need cooldown reduction, and this definitely comes in handy for the build. Over to passives, we're using Holy Cause, Heavenly Strength, Finery, and Indestructible. For our gear, we're using the 6-piece Akkhan set, so helm, shoulders, chest, gloves, pants, and boots. We're using the Traveler's Pledge in conjunction with the Compass Rose. I still love this set. I don't think I'm not going to give it up anytime soon, depending on what the next patch brings out, but I just love how this works pretty much with all of my builds, Compass Rose and the Traveler's Pledge. And basically, if you guys don't know, if you have both of them equipped, you get two buffs. You get while moving, damage taken is reduced by up to 50% as long as they're moving around, and when you stand still, your damage is increased by up to 100%. So if you get a big pack with elites with Condemned, you stand there, keep casting Condemned, and then you'll just do that much more damage. Pretty handy. I'm using Reaper's Wraps for my braces here. I'm using the Witching Hour here for... The Witching Hour is pretty good for extra damage. It really increases damage, so I've got the Witching Hour equipped in the belt slot. The other ring we're using is Convention of Elements. Obviously, the elements that tick on by in the bottom corner here, and every time, you know, lightning, fire, all that physical damage, everything increases by 200%, so it's pretty handy when it ticks over. The two weapons we're using, pretty important. Blade of Prophecy. Your legendary stat here is 2 condemned enemies also trigger Condemn's explosion. So when we condemn 2 enemies in a big pack, they trigger the explosion straight away. So definitely ultra overpowered with this Blade of Prophecy. Must have. And in the shield slot, I've got Frida's Wrath. Now the legendary stat here is Condemned no longer has a cooldown, but instead costs 40 Wrath. So all we've got to do is manage our Wrath, and we can pretty much condemn all the time. It's just like no cooldown. Condemned is basically unlimited here. We just got to manage our Wrath, which is pretty easy. With, if I didn't mention it before, Provoke, Too Scared to Run basically increases our Wrath, or it gains Wrath as soon as we're like in a pack and we cast it. So definitely must be using Provoke, Too Scared to Run. The gems we're using are... Definitely want to use the diamond gem here in the helm slot to reduce cooldown of all skills. Cooldown is ultra important, guys. Ultra important. So must use the diamond. Everything else is the red strength gems. For these other gems here, we've got Gem of Efficacious Toxin. Basically, when we're in packs, we add a poison to the enemies, and all enemies that we poison actually take 10% increased damage from all sources. So pretty handy. ability, increases our damage big time. I'm using Bane of the Trapped, again, increases a lot of damage to enemies that have movement impairing effects. And Bane of the Stricken, can swap this out for Bane of the Powerful. Because it is quite a speedy build that we're using here, you can use Bane of the Powerful and you can keep it up quite often. So, totally up to you and your playstyle. Bane of the Stricken, definitely if you're doing greater rifts, for speed runs, you can probably swap it out for Bane of the Powerful. And Incanized Cube here, it's very, very important. The weapon that I mentioned earlier, we're using Akkhan's Addendum. Basically, what this does is it activates our Prophet and Embodiment of Power runes while Akarat's Champion is active, and we're going to pretty much have it active 100% of the time, so it'll always be active. And like you saw me choosing the skills, I chose Rally instead for cooldown reduction, because we're going to have all 3 runes active at the same time, as long as we're in Akarat's Champion form. The armor we're using is the Oryx Crown. Basically, it increases the effect of any gem socketed in your helm, and we've got the cooldown reduction gem, so we get 100% extra effect, so extra cooldown reduction works really well. Now, over here, I've gone for Unity, and you can definitely go for the Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac. Totally up to you, though, because Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac increases your cooldown reduction. However, I find that I'm still a bit squishy, and I like having Unity just for that extra survivability. And I only sacrifice about a split second to reactivate Akarat's Champion. It's really not that much to deal with. A split second is fine, you know, a second or two in between casting Akarat's Champion. So I can pretty much have it active 100% of the time, minus that, you know, second, maybe 1.5 seconds, which I'm fine with, and I'd rather the survivability anyway, but it's up to you guys. If you want to go with Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac, if you haven't got cooldown reduction in other areas, then go with Unity. Another helpful tip is make sure you get cooldown reduction on your shoulders here. Make sure you enchant them, and also your gloves, cooldown reduction, ultra important. Pretty much you should have cooldown reduction on your weapon as well. As you can see, I got 9% on my sword, which is, I was lucky it rolled that way. If it doesn't roll, then it's probably a good idea to enchant it anyway. And if you can enchant it on your shield, as you can see here, I enchanted it on my shield as well. Rings are another option for cooldown reduction. I wouldn't sacrifice much damage unless you really, really have to, unless you've got really low cooldown reduction. But as you can see, I don't have any cooldown reduction on my rings, and I'm not struggling at all. There's only a split second when I cast Akarat's Champion that I've actually haven't got it active. So it works for me, but make sure you find that sweet spot with your cooldown reduction, boys. We're going to go through Paragon Points really quickly. Now, core, we definitely want to get our movement speed increase up to 25% total, which is the cap. So get your movement speed up to 25%, everything else into strength. Offense, we're definitely going for cooldown reduction for this one. Critical hit damage, critical hit chance, and attack speed in that order. Defense, we're going resist all, armor, life regen in that order. And utility, we're going area damage, resource cost reduction, life per hit, gold find in that order. That is pretty much it, boys and girls. I think I've gone through everything. I've did the gems, I've did the gear, the skills. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments below. We're going to be doing the set dungeon again. We're going to be doing the set dungeon together real soon, so make sure you stay tuned for that one. Don't forget to subscribe, show your support, and I'll see you in the Akkhan's set dungeon.